Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock, they're powerful, alright. We cover them all on your favorite part. So many movies we can choose, even when you win, you lose. Life moves pretty fast, some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math, it's the 30-something movie podcast. Be excellent to each other, peace out and word to your mother. They're from the best decades, movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phasers set to stun, action packed from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions free, come share our love of the movies we see. Life moves pretty fast, some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math, it's the 30-something movie podcast. Be excellent to each other. Peace out and word to your mother.
It is the 30-something movie podcast. It's John. It's Bo. Bo, how's it going?
Oh, it's going well, John, and yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fine.
Excellent.
I do kind of like the new intro music. Kind of gets you a little jazzed up before we get started here.
It does. It's got a little drive to it, you know. It keeps you awake. Maybe it'll help keep us awake and help us finish.
The real test is would it keep Pat awake?
Well, I don't know if I want to put that on any piece of music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like if I had some rock background music, I'd just start playing and be like, Monica Bellucci, Monica Bellucci, Monica Bellucci, Marissa Tomei. We just do a song like that, and I feel like that would keep Pat awake.
There you go.
Yeah.
Speaking of Monica Bellucci and Marissa Tomei, one that we have put in a similar category, Morena Baccarin, has a new show coming out this fall.
Really?
She's going to be in a spin-off.
Where will I be this fall?
In front of the television.
Mm-hmm.
She is going to be in a spin-off of the CBS show Fire Country.
Oh, okay.
Called Sheriff Country.
All right.
And what I don't know is if she is in the current show and spinning it off, or if she is just part of the new show.
Okay.
Yeah. And as I'm reading the quick synopsis here, it sounds like, sure enough, she was in the one episode. Okay. Huh.
I feel like that's how TV does it nowadays, is like you throw somebody in the last couple of episodes of a current show, and then you're going to spin it off to another thing. And
okay, she's the stepsister of one of the characters. All right. We'll have to see if, because Donna watches Fire Country, I'll have to see if, in general, I wouldn't normally. It doesn't sound like a me show, but if she's in it, I'm going to have to try it. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
Well, I mean, and it sounds like she has a preference for shows with fire in the title.
Does.
So we did recently rewatch Firefly. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I gotta see if Donna's willing to try that again. Yeah. I really think she'd like it if she really likes Nathan Fillion, which I feel like will maybe help.
Do you watch The Rookie?
Love it.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah.
Do you watch Resident Alien?
Yes. Was he
in that? When he pops up in random places.
Okay, we're not quite finished with season 1 yet, so.
Okay, then just know that he pops up, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just his voice.
Okay.
And you hear it, and you go, "Wait, is that?" And then, yeah, that is. Mm-hmm. It's just awesome. And those two together, Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion, you cannot go wrong with those two.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Not what we're here to talk about, though.
No, it's not. But before we do, have I ever told you the Firefly joke that I have that has gotten me in trouble a few times?
I don't think so.
How do reavers clean their spears?
Oh no.
They
I don't know. How do reavers clean their spears?
They run them through the wash.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I have not words.
No. Okay. Yeah. I got in trouble with a sibling who loves Firefly very much the first time I told that one.
I bet you did.
Yeah. And especially when I followed it up with, well, they can't stick them in the river.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I have any death threats that anybody might have can be directed towards the Nerdist podcast.
Pat at 30 something podcast.
Oh, see, I wasn't going to draw any of our people into it. I was going to be like a nerdist at gmail.com.
There you go.
That's not the address anyway, but what's Joe Rogan?
It'd be funny if they had that. Yo, now we're talking.
There we go. I mean, aim
It'd
for
just
the,
be-
isn't that prison rules? Don't you go try to punch the biggest guy in the yard?
Well, and at that point, like, it would just be one more death threat. You can't tell me he doesn't get tons.
That's true. That's true. So I kid because I love.
Of course.
So, I'm a leaf on the wind. Moving on. We're not here to talk about that tonight. Although if we wanted to, we could totally do a Firefly podcast. I'd be up for that.
I think we could. We could definitely speak at length on that topic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we're not here for that. We're here for Legends of the Fall. This is
Indeed.
This is a wonderful movie. I'm going to go ahead and give my 2 cents right off the bat. I do really enjoy this movie, and part of that is just I enjoy the scope of the story, but especially the soundtrack. I have always been a huge James Horner fan, and that does not hurt this movie at all with the James Horner soundtrack, because I think this is probably one of his best works. This is a soundtrack that when I need to sit and focus and get some work done, I probably 80% of the time will put on the Legends of the Fall soundtrack. So very much enjoy this one. All right, let's get on into it. This one came out December 23rd, 1994, rated R with a runtime of 2 hours, 13 minutes, directed by Edward Zwick, who did Glory and The Last Samurai. Probably doesn't hurt that Edward Zwick, like his other movies, and I love those too. So clearly there's something about his directing style that I love. And writers, Jim Harrison wrote the novella for this one. Susan Shilladay and William D. Whitliff also did writing for this one. Harrison did The Black Stallion. Whitliff did The Black Hole. Shilladay did A River Runs Through It. Producers were Edward Zwick, Marshall Hertzkovitz, and Bill Whitliff. Did The Siege and Shakespeare in Love. Composer was James Horner. Did Titanic, Braveheart, and a bunch of other things. Cinematographer John Toll, who did Braveheart and The Thin Red Line. Editor was Stephen Rosenblum, who did Glory and Blood Diamond. Production company was TriStar. Estimated $30 million budget. Approximately $160 million box office. Flick Metrics gives it a 62%. So a little bit of a lower score when you average out all the other different spots where they pull those scores from, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, all that stuff. Cinema Score, though, gives it an A-. So clearly the people that went to go see it, they did enjoy the movie. Actors and their characters in this one. Brad Pitt played Tristan Ludlow. He was in Fight Club and 12 Monkeys. Anthony Hopkins was Colonel William Ludlow. He was in The Silence of the Lambs and The Remains of the Day. Aidan Quinn played Alfred Ludlow. He was in Michael Collins and Benny and June. Julia Ormond played Susanna Fincannon. She was in First Night and Sabrina. Henry Thomas was Samuel Ludlow. He was E.T. the Extraterrestrial in Gangs of New York. Karina Lombard plays Isabel II. She was in Wide Sargasso Sea and The Firm. Gordon Tutusis plays One Stab. He was in Pocahontas and Reindeer Games. Tontu Cardinal played Pet. Dances with Wolves and Wind River. Paul Desmond played Decker. He was in Defying Gravity and Soul Survivor. Christina Pickles played Isabel Ludlow. She's in Masters of the Universe and Romeo plus Juliet. Robert Wisden played John T. O'Banion. He was in Final Destination and The X-Files, the TV series. John Novak was James O'Banion. He was in The X-Files, the TV series, and Blood Rain 2. A couple quick things in here. Composer James Horner created one of his most famous scores for this one, earning an Academy Award nomination. The film's cinematographer John Toll he won the Academy Award for Best Cinematography for Legends of the Fall. And this, as I might have mentioned earlier, this was adapted from a novella based on the story written by Jim Harrison, which kind of explores the themes of family and the passage of time in early 20th century America. Quick synopsis for this one. In an epic tale of love, loss, and family, Tristan, Alfred, and Samuel Ludlow find themselves bound by passion and loyalty to one woman, Susanna. In a world torn by war and the wilderness, their bond will be tested. Legends of the Fall reveals the turbulent lives of three brothers and a father at odds with fate. And the trailer was not working, so this is where the trailer song goes, because it's going to get replaced with the trailer. Or Pat's version. Trailer. Trailer. Monica Bellucci. Trailer. Marissa Tomei. Stay awake, Pat. Okay. That's the heavy metal version. That's the Pantera remix. Bellucci. Yeah. Christian Bale Batman remix.
Some people hear their own inner voices with great clearness, and they live by what they hear. Such people become crazy, or they become legend.
This is my fiance, Susanna.
Hello.
It's Nonna.
So this is Tristan.
His spirit had the strength to hold his family together.
To us all.
But his destiny had the power to tear them apart.
This is a turning point in the history of the world.
Don't talk at me, boys, if I've never seen a war.
Help me! Samuel! Tristan!
Samuel chose to be a soldier, and soldiers die.
You know you can't make her happy.
Gonna try. You will fail.
You've been nothing but trouble since you came to this house.
Did I damn everybody around me as well as myself?
I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you forever.
Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins, Aidan Quinn, Henry Thomas, and Julia Ormond. Legends of the Fall.
All right, so major moments for this one. 10 major moments that sum up this movie. The return from war. Sickened by the U.S. government's betrayal of Native Americans, Colonel William Ludlow leaves the Army and builds a ranch in a remote area of Montana with the help of his Cree friend One Stab. Was also described the first time I tried to eat sushi. Had to give up and just stab it with the chopsticks. I'm much better at it now, but One Stab is my sushi eating name when I was younger. Along with them are Decker, a former outlaw turned hired hand, his Cree wife Pet, and daughter Isabel too. William raises his three sons, Alfred, Tristan, and Samuel, with a deep bond between the brothers. Susanna arrives, the troublemaker arrives. It's not her fault. It's the brothers. Brothers tend to just fight over everything anyway. So, introduce a woman into the mix, and of course they're going to fight over her. Samuel returns from Harvard University with his fiancée, Susanna Fincannon. Although she is drawn to Tristan's wild charisma, she loves Samuel and plans to marry him. But before they can wed, Samuel decides to enlist in the Canadian Expeditionary Force to fight for Britain in World War I. To protect Samuel, Tristan and Alfred join him despite William's disapproval. The brothers join the same battalion, with Alfred becoming an officer. During a dangerous charge into no man's land, Alfred is wounded. While visiting him at the field hospital, Tristan learns that Samuel is on a reconnaissance mission. He rushes to protect his younger brother, but arrives too late, holding Samuel as he dies. Tristan cuts out Samuel's heart to send home for burial. I'm going to stop there for just a second. That was That was a hard scene to watch.
Yeah.
That scene where he's,
Like-
they gas the woods and he's kind of blind and stumbling around, and Tristan is just running as fast as he can and shouting his name and looking for him, and just that whole scene. And just as he gets close, you see, and that's you're building up that tension too, because you see the Germans getting the gun ready. Like it's not like somebody just whips around and fires a couple of shots. Like they are taking
because
time.
they're setting up a big old Gatling gun.
And it makes it even more heartbreaking that he gets there just too late, and they just riddle Samuel with bullets, and he's tied up in the barbed wire, and then you get that scene later on in the movie where he has the same issue. There's a calf gets loose when he's back on the ranch, and the calf is tangled up in the barbed wire, and then he's obviously dealing with flashbacks and dealing with what happened to his brother. But yeah, that whole scene where Samuel ends up dying is just, it's tough to watch.
Yeah.
So distraught over his death, Tristan basically single-handedly raids the German lines and returns with enemy scalps around his neck, which then obviously horrifies his fellow soldiers and leads to his discharge. He leaves Europe but does not return home right away. Alfred returns to Montana and proposes to Susanna, who declines. So, ouch. Tristan finally returns to the ranch, and Susanna finds him weeping at Samuel's grave and confronts him. They become lovers, which enrages Alfred. Feeling guilty over Samuel's death and for driving Alfred away, Tristan leaves Montana for several years. While he's gone, he writes to Susanna, although not regularly, and then eventually writes and says, look, what we had is gone, marry somebody else. Devastated, she does eventually marry Alfred, who becomes a successful businessman and a congressman, actually. And then the father, William, suffers a stroke and becomes estranged from Alfred, who becomes involved with the Irish bootlegging O'Banion brothers. Tristan comes back, returns during Prohibition, and revives the ranch and reconnects with his family and his father. He marries Isabel, too, who's grown up now. They have 2 children, and he becomes involved in some small-scale rum running and leads to some conflict with the O'Banion brothers as his business is getting bigger and bigger, which leads to their catching their attention. Tragedy strikes then when Isabel, too, is accidentally killed by a corrupt police officer in the O'Banion's pocket. In a fit of rage, Tristan severely beats the officer and is jailed. Susanna visits him, but Tristan refuses her advances because she's trying again. After his release, Tristan and Decker track down those responsible for Isabel II's death, and they kill one of the O'Banion brothers. The surviving O'Banion brother, along with the corrupt officials, go after Tristan. At the ranch, William and Alfred kill the attackers, prompting reconciliation between the brothers and their father. And then at the end, realizing Tristan will be blamed for the deaths, the family buries the bodies and disposes of the evidence. One stab reflects that it is always those Tristan loved most who died young. And then we flash forward to 1963, where an older Tristan is confronting a grizzly bear, knife in hand, and the narration from One Stab ends the movie with that it was a good death. And those are the 10 major moments. Was there anything else? Anything else that I overlooked? Or
No, I think it was interesting that they were taking people to the Montana train station, even in Legends with the Fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It was the way the movie ended. We should probably go into our deep thoughts, and then I can talk about the way the movie ended.
And now, Deep Thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot.
Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
Okay, so my thoughts on the way the movie ended, I'll jump to that real quick. We get to the end and it ends with it was a good death. And honestly,
it was a good day to die.
Thank you, because that's all I could think of was perhaps it is a good day to die. I wouldn't remember. But perhaps it is.
Perhaps it is.
When he bludgeoned that corrupt police officer in the head, I thought, I know what he's going through. But then I realized, actually, I don't
know anything.
I don't remember anything. I wish I had a brother. with which to have sibling rivalry. Anyway.
I feel like I once did, but perhaps I am mistaken.
Now I live by the beach and run a shop where I make colorful t-shirts. It is called It Is a Good Day to Die.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
We here at the 30-Second Movie Podcast do apologize for our sense of humor.
Ours? I think that was Kern's. I think it has nothing to do with us.
It's not mine. If I had said that, I mean, we'd have to end the show right now. But
yeah, we'd get emails.
Right.
Lots and lots of emails.
Lots of emails, all in Swedish. So I guess I'd have to run them through Google Translate
and hope it didn't suck.
Yes. So yeah, let's jump back. But that is one of the things that I do have a bit of an issue with this movie. It's fine to me. It's fine the way it ends. I've watched this movie many times, and I do really, really, really enjoy this movie. There are moments where the ending just comes very abruptly, and I'm like,
yes,
yeah, I could have. I don't know if that's how I would have ended that. But all right, okay, well, I'll let it slide. The rest of the movie is amazing, so I'll let it slide. But and that may just be a personal preference thing. But I kind of get to the end of the movie and it's like, oh, okay, carry on. Yeah. or don't, I guess.
Right, exactly. He did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it was clear that by the time he had reached that old age, life was just too tough for him to bear.
Oh, I should have seen that coming. Mm-hmm. I didn't. I'm disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
I will do better.
That's okay. If it's the same bear as earlier in the movie, I mean, that also should have given him pause.
If that's the same bear, that's an old bear.
That is an old bear.
I don't know how long bears live, but I don't think it's that long.
Probably not.
Maybe it's his son.
Yeah. Could be.
Avenging his father or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they cut away.
Finishing what his father started. That's what it is.
Right. And they cut away from it because it probably was going to be a very grisly death.
Oh. Yeah, they cut away from that, but they don't cut away from his brother wrapped up in the barbed wire getting shot. Like, some of the choices are...
Yeah. I'm going to move on now. I feel like we've reached the rule of 3 when it comes to jokes.
You just got to have 3 more in your pocket, that's all.
Oh, I probably do for later. Yeah. But I feel like 3 is the limit, and then you got to kind of move on. So yes, I've seen this. Like I said, I've seen this movie many times. Really, really enjoy this movie. Love the soundtrack. I love the interactions between the brothers. It's so much fun to watch them slapping each other at dinner. The way siblings do. And I would assume. I mean, you have a brother. Did you hit each other constantly when you were growing up?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The famous story, of course, is we were beating on each other in the hallway, and Mom couldn't get us to stop, so she went and got a cold pitcher of water and doused us with it.
Nice.
Yeah, that story comes out every once in a while.
Yeah. That's a good one.
You and yours get into it a little?
A bit. My sister and I a bit. I mean, we were pretty close in age, and then, for the third child, there was another... like 8 years between the oldest and the youngest. So not so, a little bit there. We'd kind of torture each other from time to time. And when I say each other, I mostly mean I did the torturing. Yeah. My sister, a lot of times she'd be the one that would decree the beating. And those were her exact words. She would say, and I this didn't bother us in our house because none of us grew up Catholic, but she would often say, "I am the Pope and I decree a beating." I don't think in the 20th century that's how the Pope works anymore. I mean, maybe like in medieval times, sure.
There was a time when he did.
Back when the Pope's last name was Borgia, sure.
I was just gonna say the Borgias sure knew how to whoop some ass.
So maybe Maybe she was channeling that, because oftentimes if she felt like somebody needed to get hurt, she would just look at me and go, "I, the Pope, I decree a beating." Right. Okay.
That Lucrezia Borgia, she liked to, yeah.
Yeah. We after we had watched that show, we from time to time we will occasionally when we see the same actor in anything, our first comment is we go straight to the line, "I am the Pope." Oh, it's that guy. Do you remember his name?
Guy.
No, I just know he's the Pope.
He's
Oh. So, anyway.
That was a really good show.
It
Total
was.
side note, but Jeremy Irons was fantastic.
Oh, well, so you watched that one. We watched the other one.
Oh, gosh, which one did I miss?
We didn't watch the Showtime one.
Oh, I did.
You watched the Showtime one? Yeah. Because there was the Showtime one, and that was The Borgias.
Yes.
And I believe the one that we watched was just called Borgia.
Oh, Lord.
And it was, what channel was that on? Why am I not remembering what channel it was on? It was, it wasn't the Showtime one. It was on.
Let me just say, the Showtime one was very Showtime.
Okay. I mean, this one was, this one had some stuff. Let's see. This one was a Canal Plus Sky Italia. Yeah. I mean, it was.
Oh, wow.
And it was almost around, I feel like it came out close to the same time.
Yeah, right about the same time, right?
So somebody was pulling this was like a Tombstone Unforgiven kind of a situation.
Yeah, the Borgias, they both started in 2011. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was John, I forget how you say his last name, but John Doman was, he was
Rodrigo.
He was in The Wire, and yeah. But he's the one that played Rodrigo Borgia, so Pope Alexander VI.
I am the Pope.
And that was his line, when he became the Pope. He was, "I am the Pope." And so, whenever we see him in anything else, we're like, "Oh, look, it's the Pope."
That's funny.
He is the Pope. So yeah, we watched that one. That was the one we saw. We never did actually see the Showtime one.
I'm gonna track this one down now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, those guys, those Borgias, they were twisted, man.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, dramatic license, and you slap Showtime dramatic license on top of that.
Oh yeah.
But even if half was true, holy mackerel, man!
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, back to Montana. So I really enjoy this movie, enjoy the soundtrack, enjoy, pretty much everything about this one, and have watched it several times. And this, I think in particular, I really have never been to Montana. I think the most time I've ever spent was, I want to say we had a layover in, was it Helena?
Is there an airport that isn't in Helena up there?
Right, yeah.
I mean, the impression they give you on Yellowstone and even on this one, if it's not in Helena, it's a ranch.
It's not worth drinking?
Yeah, pretty much. And it is beautiful. And I know they shot this in Canada, but
yeah,
man, some of the stuff in Yellowstone, it's just beautiful.
Well, we stepped out of, I remember the only time I've spent in Montana was a layover at the airport, and we stepped out of the airport just to look outside, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's exactly like it is in the movies. It's beautiful.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Big sky country, yeah, okay.
Yep, no, it's even outside the airport, because you can't do that in like Dallas, Fort Worth. You can't step out and be like, man, isn't this pretty up here? No, that's not how it works. No, it's Dallas, Fort Worth, O'Hare, London, Heathrow, any of those other cities. Yet most times you step outside and you're like, huh, I'm feeling a Leonard Skinner moment. I'm wondering what that smell is. But Montana was, wow, I get it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's one of those places that's on my list because of that. Like, and I don't know that I need to spend a long time there.
No, I mean, unless society's about to fall apart and I can't make it to Scotland.
There you go.
Then sure. If the zombie apocalypse comes and I need to get away somewhere off the grid, I mean, I'm thinking if if I can't make it to Scotland and I can't make it to the Pacific Northwest, then Montana seems fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so is this one, how many times have you seen this one before? Is this a first viewing for you? Have you
This
seen
was a
this one?
first viewing for me.
Oh, it was. Okay. So what'd you think?
I liked it. I think it got moving a little slow for me. And then the ending, you already talked about how it sort of just happens. But it was the family dynamics were complicated, and there was some depth between the brothers and their relationship. And the relationship with their father was interesting too. How each one of them sort of took a different tactic with dad, and how, it's always interesting because it happens in real life too. The crazy, wide-eyed, wild child is dad's favorite for no reason that makes any sense, because dad seems like a pretty squared away guy. But yeah, it was very interesting. Some of the whole, and I alluded to this before the podcast, but some of the whole, like, brother marrying the brother's fiance and brother's wife, and like, I know back in the day there was a lot of that responsibility for the, with the dead brothers and stuff. It's just it's a little weird for me.
Yeah,
but it's also weird that both of the brothers fell in love with their brother's fiance when she walked off the train. But all in all, it was a good story. There was just some parts of it that I didn't quite process.
Yeah.
I know this was not your first time.
Oh, no.
And you've spoken of your love for this and the music.
Yes. In fact, I'm gonna take a moment.
I was gonna say, and I believe you have some queued up for us.
I have some queued up. In fact, the song, because I think I have this, before I get this completely queued up, let me see where I've got, let me see what album I have this on. It is, it is the music of James Horner, played by the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra. And it's an album from 2010, and it's amazing. It's got a wonderful list of his songs. It's got music from Avatar, Troy, Deep Impact, Mask of Zorro, Titanic, Ransom, Apollo 13, Braveheart. What else did it have? It had Willow, Land Before Time, Cocoon, Star Trek II, Glory. It's an amazing disc. It's a 2-disc collection, 27 songs, 2.5 hours. And when I found that one, I will play that one nonstop. That I have a playlist that has that. I think I had mentioned before there was one called Collage. It was some of his last works or some of his previously unreleased versions of some of his works. The Ludlows, probably the most famous piece of music from this movie, is on that one. First in Flight, he has a lot of stuff from First in Flight on there. Yeah, and there's just so much good stuff on that one too. But yeah, I mean, the most famous piece from this one is the Ludlows. And that is, let me pull that one up here real fast. Yeah, I could just listen to that for hours.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And honestly, I have listened to that for hours. So, yeah, it's just, I mean, like you said, the whole idea of big sky country, and it just kind of...
You hear it.
You hear it, yes. Yeah. I mean, you get from the music, you get the time period, you get the scope of the place geographically where they're at. Yeah, this is one of my favorite of all the different James Horner pieces, if I had to narrow it down to one of my favorites, I mean, there's going to be some Rocketeer stuff, probably some Alien stuff, Star Trek, but this, I'm going to say this is in my top 5 of all the James Horner pieces I've ever listened to. Even more so. So I'm going to make a bold statement here.
Oh, I know where you're going, and I don't know.
You don't know?
Oh, I know. I don't know if I agree, but I'm going to let you say it.
I like this piece of music better than Braveheart.
Wow.
Yeah. And I love Braveheart. Love that movie and love the soundtrack to that one too.
For you to say that,
Yeah, this piece of music, Braveheart's a better movie. Like, I like the movie Braveheart better. But in terms of an individual piece of music, I think this for me wins out over the Braveheart theme, but just barely.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I really, really enjoy this piece of music. And like I said, you do get the time period piece. I'm gonna back up to the very beginning of this because I do think it's kind of funny. We did. You probably saw them 4 years ago when I was posting all of them up during the pandemic when we were all in like lockdown and everything. I was posting up stuff on Facebook that were my daily entries of Exiled for the Good of the Realm.
Oh yeah.
So funny thing is we've collected all those, and at some point we're gonna like print them off and keep them in a box somewhere. But they've been popping up now. We're like 4 years out from that now, and so they've been popping up on the 4 years ago you posted this. And one of the, I think it was for a week or maybe a couple of weeks, for a stretch of time, I started then posting up as if it was medieval times, and then it was caveman times, and then it was Civil War era times. And so when I go back and because when those pop up, we'll be sitting watching TV or something, and I'll pause what we're watching. I'm like, oh, hold on. Here's For the Good of the Realm, Day 46, Civil War era. And I'll start reading it. And when I start reading it, what I picture in my head is this is the music in the background. My dearest Susanna, we have made encampment on Fort Living Room Hill. And right. So, I mean, that's kind of it feels like it should be the music in Ken Burns' Civil War.
Yes.
So.
Yes, it does. It does have that feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah. But no, I absolutely enjoy every bit of this soundtrack. Yeah, just love it. One of the things too, I think this, for an early performance by Brad Pitt, like I think this is one of the first times in watching it. Now, I had seen him in other stuff at this point. Like I think I had probably seen Fight Club before I saw this.
Yeah.
I had seen a couple other things before I had seen this, but then I saw this and realized this was one of his earliest really big roles. And I was like, wow, he does an amazing job in this movie.
He does. He's got a lot to play in this one. He's got the couple of death scenes with his brother and then with the cow.
Yeah.
And he's, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough to pull off.
Yeah. I was going to say something real quick before we get too much further. This movie is a bit of a cinematograph. It's let's back that up. That wasn't a word. Let's try a different one. Cinematic. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes.
Bit of a cinematic oddity to me because my wife and I have constantly contended that there are these little groups of lookalikes for actors in Hollywood. And the one set in particular that always used to throw us off was Aidan Quinn, who plays Alfred in this movie. Aidan Quinn, and there's an actor whose name is Tony Goldwyn. And Tony Goldwyn, I'm trying to remember. I think he was like the messed up friend in Ghost.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to say,
I can see that.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, which one was he?
And
he
you
was
only confuse them until Aidan Quinn talks.
Right. So I would, and he was in Last Samurai. Tony Goldwyn was Last Samurai, and I would constantly watch stuff and be like, "Oh yeah, that's Aidan Quinn," and then I get to the credits and be like, "Nope, not Aidan Quinn. Never mind."
Nope.
Yeah, nope, not him. But yeah, I mean, he's been in so many different things, but I would constantly get, and Sharon and I both would constantly get him and Aidan Quinn mixed up. Now, I got to tell you, before writing down all the notes for this here fine podcast that we run, I completely thought that Susanna was a totally different actress.
Oh, wow.
And I even did a little double take when I was reading the notes just now, and I took the stupid notes. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, wait a minute. Julia Ormond, what? Why would I have written that down? No. That's Haley Atwell.
Oh, wow.
And so in my head, I was like, whoa, no, because she's in Captain America. But then the IMDb says that she's not. The database says that this is Julia. Wait a minute, hold on. So I had a little like brain reset.
Every once in a while, you got to have one of those.
Yeah, I had a Kern moment. We'll put it that way. And I thought something was wrong with my medulla oblongata, to bring that full circle. And I had a little like glitch moment in the Matrix, and I was like, no, but wait, reality, what?
Reality bites.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
Yeah. So that was so this movie in particular for me is like, it's got two sets of the people that I constantly get confused with. So apparently Julia Ormond and Haley Atwell, I don't know the difference between them. And then Tony Goldwyn and Aidan Quinn apparently don't know the difference between them. So ask me anything else about movies and I'm probably going to get it. But if you really want to confuse me, start asking me about, which movie was this person in? I don't know. So I don't know if they need to play each other's stunt doubles or what, but
there you go.
Yeah. No, that shocked me. In fact, that was one I don't think until tonight I didn't realize until we started recording, and I read that as I was reading through the cast list. I was like, no, wait, hold on. Haley Atwell. I wrote down the wrong thing. And I don't know, you probably, if people go back and listen to it, you'll probably hear me hesitate a minute when I read her name. Because I'm like, no, that's not her. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is. Never mind.
Yep.
Yeah. So, oh well. We can't
remember everything.
Can't be right every time.
Just most things.
Just right. So, well, and here's the other weird thing about it is I looked them up and they are like almost 20 years difference in age.
Yeah, I was trying to do that math really quick, and it seems like that would be close to the case.
Yeah, because Haley Atwell was born in, I looked her up real fast, she was born in 82, and Julia Ormond was born in 65.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, that's not even close.
Not even really, no.
No. So we've proven once again, John doesn't know what he's talking about. But,
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. So, yes, as I've said before, I love the sibling rivalry in this movie. It's fun to watch them interact with each other, but then heartbreaking to watch it all fall apart as life goes on, and especially after Samuel dies, because then everybody kind of blames, whether they say it or not. They feel like Tristan, or at least Alfred, very much so, feels like Tristan was responsible for his brother's death because he was supposed to be there to protect him.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda done something.
Right, which, I mean, putting an unreasonable expectation on him to be able to protect his brother from an entire world war.
That is a challenge, yes.
So, but yeah, awesome movie. Love this movie. It is a beautifully shot movie, deserving of the Oscar that it received. The soundtrack for this is amazing. So if you have not caught this movie before, definitely go check it out. I mean, to me, it also kind of runs along. It's like in a series of movies in my head. A river runs through it.
Yeah,
Legends of the Fall, and
I definitely thought about A River Runs Through It as I was watching this.
Mm-hmm.
They just feel very, very kin to each other.
Right. Well, I mean, and the fact that Brad Pitt's in both of them.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't really processed that.
that doesn't hurt either. But yeah, I mean, they're only 2 years apart from each other. They have a very similar feel. And Brad Pitt's one of the major characters. And his character is fairly similar in the two. He's kind of the rough, and they're both Montana. He's kind of He's kind of the rough and tumble brother out of the two of them. Same in this one. So it's I don't want to say it's typecast, but it's very similar characters. So I kind of, even though they're not necessarily related to each other, I kind of lump those two movies together when I think of, if you want to have a little movie marathon.
Spiritually connected, if you will.
Yes. Spiritual brother movies.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, and that movie is also about brothers, too. It's about brothers. It's about family.
Right.
So there's a lot that kind of overlaps between these two movies.
It's about relationships with dad a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, awesome movies. So definitely check this one out if you have not seen this one before. Bo, are you ready for 3 questions?
Bring it.
It's time for 3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right, question number 1. If you were headed off to war, what role would you choose to take? Examples being soldier, translator, mechanic, general. What would your role be if you were headed off to war?
I think if I can pick general, I would probably pick general.
Okay.
But
if it was not to be on the front line?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if it was more, a little less high up in the ranks, but maybe something like in supply or logistics.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would not be I would not be a frontline soldier. That would not be my choice. If I had to be in the fight, I would say maybe something a little at a distance, like a sniper or my eyesight does not help with that one, so that wouldn't necessarily be a good choice. Yeah, I feel like if there was a role for, oh, you know what? Here, I got my answer already. I would be Adrian Cronauer.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. I will entertain.
And
the
that
troops.
you would fit that role well.
I will entertain the troops. I don't know how well that style would go over in World War I.
That's fair.
Slightly different sense of
you
humor.
might have
probably.
to amend your tactics a little bit.
Oh, never mind. I was about I was about to try to make a comment about Woodrow Wilson. I'm not going to go there.
Oh my Lord.
Nope. We'll skip that. That can be on the Patreon version of the episode where I start making Good Morning Vietnam jokes about Woodrow Wilson. Yeah, that would probably be more my speed.
Yeah.
Good morning, Verdun.
Dunkirk, how are you?
There we go. Hey, this is not a test. This is the Battle of the Somme. Time to rocket from Amiens to Gallipoli.
Bulge. I can show you a bulge.
Huh? Yes. Is that Cantini, or are you just happy to see me? All right.
Yes.
The answer is yeah. The answer is we.
Or is it oui?
Oui, les poissons.
No. just powder my nose.
Yes. Number 2, what is the best example of sibling rivalry in fiction?
Well, sticking with the movie genre and sticking with a movie that I've mentioned before, oddly, I don't remember what the question was, but Cruel Intentions was one of the first ones I thought of with some sibling rivalry. There's obviously many, many more, but that's one that comes to mind.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm gonna go. You know what? One of my first thoughts about this one, because it hasn't been too long ago. I mean, I guess it's been a couple years at least since we've watched this movie, and I really enjoyed that part of the story. Was I'm going to go with something different, but this was one of my first thoughts was Dottie and Kit from A League of Their Own.
Oh, good one. Yep.
So that was kind of fun, kind of watching their sibling rivalry with each other. Not brothers, but siblings. The one I'm going to go with, not actually siblings, but I feel like growing up together, it very much was like siblings. And I'm going to go with one of my favorite movies, Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, very nice.
With Guy Pearce and Jim Caviezel's characters. I mean, they basically grew up together. They're basically like brothers. Just like that entire movie is one giant sibling rivalry and fighting over a woman again. That happens a lot.
Yeah. Women tend to do that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the men who tend to do that about the women.
Right.
Which...
Yeah. And question number 3, what is your favorite Brad Pitt role?
Brad Pitt. He's been in a lot that I like. So that's a tough one, but I might have to say the Ocean series.
Okay. That is it's an easy choice for me because it's still one of my favorite movies. The first time I saw Fight Club, it kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, Fight Club was definitely on the list. And some of it could be, we talk about it all the time, recency bias. I just saw a couple of the Oceans not too long ago.
Okay, yeah.
And I love the sarcasm. I love the sarcasm and the delivery of that role.
Yeah.
Both he and Clooney. It's kind of a different role for both of them.
Yeah.
And I just love the way that they deliver those lines.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw Fight Club. In fact, this was probably the first movie that I ever did this in. We rented it. I was in the dorms in college and rented it from Blockbuster. Yeah, I think it was Blockbuster. And popped in the VHS. Actually, one of my roommates, I think, is the one that rented it. Popped in the VHS. We watched it. And immediately after finishing it, I went, holy cow. I think I really like that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Let's rewind it and start it again. It's the first time I've ever watched a movie immediately. Like the amount of time it took to rewind the tape was the only break in between my first and second.
Wow. I don't know if I've ever done that.
Yeah.
I know I've watched it again the next day.
Okay. I've done that a few times. Like when we first saw A Phantom Menace. Like I remember going midnight that night, and then I think I went again the next day. Yeah, I think once school was over the next day, I had a ticket to see it at like the 2:30 or 3 p.m. show the next day too.
Trying to think what's the quickest turnaround I've ever done in the theater.
But yeah, quickest turnaround from watching a movie would have been Fight Club.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever spun around in a theater the next day, but I know in the following week a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to think about that one. I'm not sure.
Well, it's fun. I mean, this is right at the time he's starting to hit his stride too, because he's been in, he was in A River Runs Through It,
right,
in '92. I mean, he had, when was blanking out on it now? When was Thelma and Louise? 91 was 91. Thelma and Louise. So that was kind of one of his first, recognizable roles, and I mean, he was in a few other things before that, but then there was a movie in 92 that we're going to skip over because it's the worst movie that's ever been made. And then A River Runs Through It. He was in that. And then True Romance. And then you start to really hit, like this is where he hits the big time. Interview with the Vampire in 94. 94 is where everything starts to really fall into place. Because, I mean, listen to this. Once you hit 1994, it's Interview with the Vampire, Legends of the Fall, Seven in 95, 12 Monkeys in 95, Sleepers, The Devil's Own, 7 Years in Tibet, Meet Joe Black, Being John Malkovich, Fight Club, Snatch, The Mexican, Spy Game, Ocean's 11, skip a couple years after Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Troy, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Ocean's 13.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith was not great.
Benjamin Button. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, Donna and I watched it at a hotel when we were on vacation. We had some time to kill at night, and we just were not impressed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Considering who was in it, we were expecting more.
Yeah.
I don't know. They made a series about it recently. And
they did. I saw there was a TV series.
I did not watch it, but I want to.
And then Moneyball, I like him in Moneyball. I love that movie.
Moneyball, he was very good in Moneyball.
Yeah. But I mean, once you hit 1994, it's just, there's at least a good, what is that, nearly 10 years? See, 2001 is Ocean's 11. And then he kind of, he's not taking a break because he's doing other stuff in 2002,
Well,
2003.
and if you go to IMDb, at least on my phone, the first block of things they show you is what he produces.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even talking about stuff he's been in lately.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
he's
it's
an
crazy.
He's an executive producer on Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
So many other. Oh, there's I think there's a TV show coming out based on a comic book I had read, a horror comic book. He's an executive producer of that one. Executive producer on Three Body Problem that came out, that series.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did read that.
Executive producer on the Bob Marley movie that came out earlier this year.
Busy man.
Yeah. Oh, another comic book series that I've read, Paper Girls. I see a TV series of that a couple of years ago. Yeah, I mean, just tons of stuff, whether it's producer, actor, any of that stuff. Just, I mean, the man has no shortage of money, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think his ends are meeting.
He's doing all right. So.
Yeah. I do not think he has to worry.
Good for you, Brad. Nice job.
Look at the big brain on Brad.
You know what? Hey, Brad Pitt is not mowing his lawn listening to this show. Brad Pitt has a guy that mows his lawn and listens to our podcast for him.
He probably has a guy mowing his lawns, plural.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
That's probably true. He can probably afford to have a guy who has a guy who mows the lawn. Like there's a guy that oversees the mowing of the lawns.
Yes.
And has a team of guys that mow lawns and listen to our podcast while doing it. And they provide him with a summary every week.
Yeah, he gets a little AI summary about a paragraph long.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. They talked about nothing. They're still crazy.
Right. Well, however this gets through in the game of telephone, nice job, Brad.
Well done.
Well done. We're proud of you. I'm sure he cares.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I care. Yeah. And I care that we're almost done with the month of May, the Love and Family Month. I've really been feeling the love this month, particularly when we started out with one of our first recordings being our Patreon episode, Tammy and the T-Rex.
She did love that T-Rex, didn't she?
Oh, man. That was a movie.
Yeah. The things you find.
Yeah. That was it's kind of like, there were things being done in that movie that I was like, they're not really going to do this, are they? That's not gonna...
And they did them all.
And it was kind of like the big kid in the movie Hook, when he's like, "You're doing it, Peter. You're doing it." It was like I'm almost watching this Tammy and the T-Rex going, "They're doing it. Look at them. Look at them go."
They did it all.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Pour one out for the severed brain. Then in Patreon short, we had. I still want to know if that would work, but
yeah. Well,
what was the brain in Ninja Turtles? Was it Krang?
Kang.
Was it Kang?
Kang.
I thought that was Kang and Kodos from Simpsons.
Well, yes.
I think it was Krang, Krang
Maybe.
from
That's possible.
Yeah. Here's a shocker if you're going to Google that. Here's a quick shocker. Did you realize that Shredder was voiced by Uncle Phil?
I did.
I did not. So
you are right. Krang.
Was it Krang? Okay. So this week my mind has been blown by this movie not starring Haley Atwell, and who would have been 12 years old at the time, so that would have been awkward. And finding out that Uncle Phil was the Shredder.
Yeah, that's
mind blown. Speaking of minds being blown, for the rest of this month, we've had 4 weddings and a funeral. We've had Reality Bites. We've had Heavenly Creatures. We've had Legends of the Fall. We're going to round this whole thing out with a world tour in which Frodo goes to find new parents. It's a bit of would you say it's a bit of a Lord of the Rings prequel?
Certainly in that
If you did, you'd be wrong.
The same actor travels all over a large map of geographical area.
Yes.
Yes.
If Frodo stopped to make inappropriate, stereotypical jokes about every person in the Shire and Mordor, then that's what you would have.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's see all the ways we can stereotypically make fun of orcs and ents and all the other creatures in Middle-earth. Yeah. Anyway, we'll save our comments for next week. Roger Ebert's least favorite movie, everybody.
It's been so long since I've seen this one.
Oh, I watched it last week.
Oh, and it's one of those movies where, like, you finish it and you're like, okay, I've seen that. I don't think I will ever see it again.
And then some moron starts a podcast and makes you watch it.
And here I am, ready to watch it again.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, sitting there, I sat there and like shook my fist in the air, and I was like, somebody made me watch this when I swore I never would again. And then I took a long look in the mirror and I realized the one staring back was me.
I have seen the enemy, and he is us.
And he is me.
Yeah.
I am the only one to blame here. So, speaking of blame, you can blame us for this podcast, which we enjoy doing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a good time with this, and we hope you have a good time as well. This has been the 30-something movie podcast. We've got these other fun episodes coming up the rest of this month. I would imagine next week we are going to tear into North and have a good time making.
I would think. I mean, who knows? Maybe one of the other guys really likes it.
Maybe this is, I don't know, maybe this is Dennis's favorite movie.
I don't think that's true.
We're not taking it that far?
No.
All right.
No.
All right. It's Pat's favorite movie. We'll go with that.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Loves it the way he loves Pearl Harbor.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. He's not here to defend himself. All right. This has been the 30-something movie podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here. Bo, thank you so much. It's always fun.
Thank you, John. And thank you for your tireless work on our new theme song that everyone's about to hear.
Yes. So we'll rock out a little bit as we head out here, and everybody be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we'll see you back here next time. And go check out some of those. If you love James Horner, go check out some of those soundtracks I listed, because they are excellente. All right, everybody. We'll see you back here next time.
From the best decades, movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phasers set to stun. Action packed from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions 3. Come share our